MixedTV.tv presents the Mixed TV Southeast Tennessee Football Spotlights presented by Life Care Centers of America. Join us as we look at the upcoming 2022 season and share in-depth interviews with coaches and players.
Welcome to our Mixed TV Southeast Tennessee Football Spotlights presented by Life Care Centers of America. Today we will be spotlighting Walker Valley High School and their football team. They compete in D1 Class 5A Region 4, and they are entering their 22nd season in program history. Their first season was in 2001. All-time, Walker Valley has 73 wins to 149 losses. That is a 32% winning percentage. 0 state titles to speak of, 35 and 75 all-time in district play. They're looking for their 5th winning season in school history, but it would be their 2nd one in 3 years. They're seeking their 12th playoff appearance. They are 2-11 all-time in playoff matchups. Looking back at last season, Walker Valley went 5-6, 2-2 in district play. They won 4 of their first 5 games before dropping 5 out of their last 6. They would lose their first-round playoff matchup at Knox Carnes by 2 points. Walker Valley is led by head coach Drew Akins, who is entering his 4th season. Walker Valley is Drew Akins' first head coaching job. Previously, he had played quarterback at Boyd Buchanan, where he won a state championship game in 2003. He began his high school coaching career a few years later in 2009 before taking an offensive coordinator job at Red Bank, where he spent 3 years there before leaving to come up to Walker Valley. In his career at Walker Valley, Akins has a record of 17 wins and 16 losses. As of right now, he's the only head coach in Walker Valley history to have a winning record. Looking at Walker Valley's schedule, they will open at Notre Dame, who they played for the first time last year, and they came away with the win. They will then travel to Bradley and Ottawa. Bradley beat Walker Valley last year, but Walker Valley bounced back to take a win from Ottawa for their first win all-time against Ottawa in 10 meetings. They will then host 3 straight games against Carter, Smith County, and Cleveland. Walker Valley picked up a win over Carter last year in their first meeting. They also picked up a win over Smith County before losing to Cleveland. They'll then travel and play a tough game at Ray County, who they lost to last year. They only have 3 wins in 17 meetings. And then they will have a late bye week before they travel to McMinn County, who Walker Valley has never beaten in 13 meetings. And they will host Upperman, who they lost to in their first meeting last year. And they will host Howard to end their season. A tough schedule for Walker Valley, a lot of tough away games at Bradley, at Ray County, at McMinn. But we will see how it goes, and we're going to head on over there now to speak with the head man of the Walker Valley Mustangs, Drew Akins. Ryan Lovelace here at Walker Valley High School, joined by head football coach Drew Akins. Coach, sort of jumping right in, you guys had a great start to your season last year. You won 4 out of 5, but then towards the end it kind of just faltered, kind of losing 5 out of 6. How do you come into this season with sort of not as much momentum as you would have liked from last year and sort of right the ship?
Yeah, it was definitely a great start when you look at how we, came out of the gate, beating a really good team with Notre Dame. Notre Dame's very much improved. I thought we played really well last year against Bradley Central. And then Ottawa, we had a great game. Knox Carter, I think, was the best game of the year. And then we started getting some injuries. Cade Charter went down. Eli Dent went down. Bryson Farley went down. So, your best offensive lineman, your best defensive player, your best offensive player definitely put us in a bind, and we just weren't able to recover from that. So, going into this year, we look to, right that ship, trying to find a way to start the same way. But, I think we've done a lot of things in the offseason to kind of cure that. I think we as coaches did a poor job of making sure that we were peaking at the right time. I think we go back, hey, what was the best game we played? It was Knox Carter. That was game 4. Yeah. So when you peak game 4 and then you get injuries behind that, we just kind of lost momentum and lost energy within our program. I think we've done a good job this offseason of focusing more on letting them be kids. Yeah. We let them, we gave them Wednesdays off this past summer. We've never done that. We've always been 4 days a week. We were 3 days a week this past summer. So just giving them more time to go be a kid and make football more exciting. That way it's not so much a job when you come here. It's more exciting. So hopefully we see that pay off, that, it allows us to peak later on in the season instead of peaking so early. So we got the players to do that, and I think our players come in very energized. They're a fun group to be around. The chemistry's been awesome. So I think all those things can lead to more energy throughout the year.
So more on a broader note, in the past 3 years, you came in 0-10 season before you got here, and in the past 3 years you've been here, you've won more games than you've lost. What has the culture change been like here at Walker Valley?
Yeah, it's so mental when you talk about big picture. Okay, what have we done over the past 3 years? When you look at, again, 0-10, but even before that it was 1-19. Yeah. For 2 years they won one game, and it creates this mentality that we're not supposed to win. So it's been a 3-year process of breaking that mentality. This is the first group that I've had all 4 years. The first group that I got them as freshmen, and they're going to graduate with me as well. And those guys, you can feel the program shift. You can feel that, hey, we're no longer that team that just goes in supposed to lose. It's going to be a great show at halftime, and then we're going to get beat by whatever it is. That group understands. No, we come to work every day, and we want to be competitive in every single game. Our goal isn't to go win every game. Our goal is to go be competitive and give ourselves the opportunity to win. And that's a culture shift. And I think the biggest thing when you talk about big picture stuff, we have built such a mindset that when something bad happens, play the next play. When something good happens, play the next play. You can't go back and change. You can't go back and recreate things that have just happened. You've just got to go play the next play. And our kids are finally starting to understand that. Our leadership understands one bad play is not going to kill a game. Yeah. But if you spread those out, you let that bad play become the next play and the next play. Our kids are starting to understand, like, put it to bed and let's go play the next play, and hopefully we look up in the fourth quarter and we're in a competitive football game.
So last year you guys lost some seniors that you mentioned were here for the 0-10 season and sort of saw the turnaround of this program. I mean, Ryan Lay, Spencer Jackson, the list goes on. Can you just speak just to what those guys meant to this program in their time here?
Man, incredible athletes. When you look at how many quarters, how many lettermen we had in that group. I could go on and on. Guys that were able to go to the next level and play. Kyler Parrish, you didn't mention. Jeray Finley showed up at a D3 just this week. Judah Green, you could go down the list. Port Chop, Jackson McGowan was such an influence on our offensive line. And you can just go player after player. And just, those guys kind of brought us from where we were into this mindset of just always being competitive. So proud of what Spencer's doing at Carson Newman, Aiden Gibson, what he's doing. Ryan Lay obviously had a great career, both offensively and defensively. When you look at what he did at quarterback last year, it kind of carried on a legacy of all-state quarterbacks here. Tucker was an all-state quarterback, Ryan is an all-state quarterback, and now it creates a legacy of, hey, Walker Valley quarterbacks eventually get to the point where they're an all-state quarterback. So proud of those guys. So proud of what they're doing now. Whether they went to college to play, whether they went to college, Aiden's playing baseball. We got guys that went straight into the workforce. Just guys that are going to make an impact in our community, a positive impact, and really proud that we're a part of this program and they can go in the community and spread those things.
So a lot of holes left. I mean, you mentioned it, just a really deep, talented senior class. So who are some younger guys that have stepped up so far to fill in those holes?
Yeah, when you start looking at what we've done this summer, we've really, I think we have 3 starters back on offense, so we're replacing 8 guys offensively. I think we have 5 on defense, so again, you're replacing over half your defensive starters. Obviously, Eli Denton is an older guy that we're going to lean on the defensive side of the ball, but we've seen some real progress, at our linebacker core from Noah Green. Noah Green's going to be a junior. He's really stepped up. Jacob Hollingsworth is probably going to start one of the linebacker positions for us. Really talented kid, and if he can find consistency, he can be a really good football player for us. You look on the back end at secondary defensively, Braxton Smith is a returning starter. Brady Montgomery's a returning starter. Tucker Owenby's a returning starter. And Blaine Lowe's played a ton of football. So I love our depth in the secondary. Josiah Shepard is giving us some great depth at corner. Roman Ulo's a freshman that's going to play corner for us. He's going to be in the rotation immediately. Aiden Burns probably will be in the rotation rotation immediately as a freshman. Nolan Chabelle's coming on at safety. Really proud of what he's done. Zeke Garrison, a sophomore. So, I mean, you're talking about 8 guys that can rotate in the back end. So we're really excited about our back end. And then some upperclassmen that have stepped up defensive line-wise. Cameron Norwood has really shown up and had a great spring. It's carried on all the way through the summer. Offensively, man, the offensive line is going to look totally different. Yeah. We have one returning starter, but, man, the guys that we have coming back that have filled those roles are just big, physical kids that we're excited about. Riley Myers, Jeremiah Townsend is a huge kid and an all-state wrestler. You know, being able to wrestle has kind of made him grow up a little bit. Bryson Farley's back healthy, so we're excited to have him back. I tell you, Ty Parker has really stepped up his game. Young kid that we're expecting to rotate in. Luke Hawkins is another one, and then along with our 2 seniors with Gideon Van Dyke and Will Turner, our returning starter. So excited about that group. When they're confident, man, they move really well. When they're questioning themselves is when they play slow and they get beat. So we've got to make sure as coaches we're putting confidence in them. Quarterback's going to be the big one. It's always the big one in our offense. Quarterback's huge. So Evan Schwartzel takes over quarterback. Man, he's a talented kid. He's been super coachable. He understands what we're trying to get done. We've got to make sure that we just manage him, that we're not asking to. He's a first-year starter. So we've got to make sure that we don't ask too much of him early on. Let him get his feet wet. Let him get comfortable. But I think you're going to see as the year progresses, man, he's a really talented kid that can win some football games for us.
So I'm not saying sort of preseason is the litmus test for a team, but you've had your scrimmages, you've had your 7-on-7s, you've had your just workouts and stuff. How are you feeling about this team going into the season?
Yeah, we had a great scrimmage last week. And, you know, we scrimmaged Cumberland County and really played well. I think we graded out as good as I've seen us grade out in a long time going back into last year. We're going to find out tomorrow, hopefully, against Farragut, who we really are. So we're going to play Farragut. They're going to be a physical 6A program that has a chance to be really successful in 6A. And that same region that Bradley Central's in, and Cleveland and Maryville, you're talking about a loaded region that if we can hold up against them, man, I think we got a chance to be okay. When you look at us, again, I think we're going to go as we run the football. If we can run the football well, man, I think we have a real shot to be a dynamic offense. If we go back to last year's offense where we're really struggling to run the football, struggling to move guys off the line of scrimmage, man, that's going to be a struggle. Anytime you can't run the football, it becomes difficult offensively when there's no threat of that. Defensively, if we can tackle, stop the run. We make football so difficult. Can you block? Can you tackle? Yeah. And if you can do those 2 things, I think you're going to find a lot of success. Right now, if you ask me right now what I feel based on the preseason, I think we're going to beat the teams we're supposed to beat. I think the teams that are better than us, we're going to struggle with. And the teams that are 50-50, man, we're going to have a great competitive game. I don't know if there's anybody on our schedule that's just light years better than us. But if we don't show up to play, the one thing we have proven, that if we don't show up and play from the jump, that we're going to get behind really quick. And then when we wake up, we typically really competitive. So our guys have got to understand the second that foot hits the ball on kickoff, you got to be ready to go. And if you're not, you're going to fall behind really quick. So that's been the biggest learning experience this preseason, is just understanding you got to be able to go from the jump. And our kids have learned that, I think. And because of that, I think we are in a position to be competitive in every game.
So lastly, you've been in football for a greater part of your life. Played at Boyd Buchanan, you've coached Ottawa, Red Bank, and now here. I mean, just how excited are you that hopefully it's going to cool down and it's almost football time here?
Man, there's nothing better. There's nothing better in football season for me. I know I grew up in it, like you said. I've been around it a long time. My dad's a head football coach. I grew up, I remember sitting in the living room with a VHS tape watching film with my dad and him rewinding and pressing play and rewinding, same play 10 or 15 times, and just the nostalgia of that. And, man, this game is so great. And it's not – it's just a game, and I get that. So wins and losses, I'm okay with wins and losses. I've learned that wins and losses are going to happen. What I love about the game is that it teaches young people how to become young men. Yeah. And that's what we use the game as. We use the game to say, hey, man, you're going to face adversity in this game. This game is going to give you adversity. Only one team in 5A is going to end their season with a win unless you're not making the playoff. You know what I mean? So not many teams get to end their season with a win. And once you hit the playoffs, only one team's going to end with a win. So if you make it all about wins and losses, man, it becomes a really frustrating game. If you make it about changing lives and growing young men, then it becomes something you can look back, you see success. Yeah. When I look back and I see Luke Anziano and I see how successful he is, that's why I love football season, because I know I have a new group that we get to teach how to become men, and when adversity hits, to keep pressing through that. And I always get excited about that. And man, if it will cool down a little bit, I'm all the way in, because it's been hot. This rain's got to go, and then it'll feel a lot like football season.
Well, I think I can agree with you on the cooler weather.
Man, absolutely.
Well, this has been head football coach here at Walker Valley High School, Drew Akins. Now we're going to send it back to the station. Walker Valley will open their season at Notre Dame High School. That game will take place on Friday, August 19th with a 7 p.m. kickoff. That concludes our spotlight today on our Mixed TV Southeast Tennessee Football Spotlights presented by Life Care Centers of America. I'm Ryan Lovelace, and we will see you next time for our next spotlight.